Good day. Today I wish to talk about re-establishing the competitive order for prosperity and inclusive growth in Malaysia. Each general election, the public expects political parties to propose a cure for the country's economic problems. The political parties usually oblige by promising a bed of roses, from providing more subsidies to increasing minimum wages. The electorate should view with deep suspicions fanciful cures that do not treat the root causes of the problems. This is because Malaysians are facing severe economic hardships, loss of jobs, and life-threatening public health issues. The two PN, BN federal governments have been unable to solve the high cost of living, the rising food prices, runaway chicken prices, disruption in the supply of eggs, the loss of jobs and livelihoods, the inadequacies of our public health system, and a looming dread of a hung parliament. It is wrong and irresponsible for any party to give a misleading diagnosis of the country's economic ills and to prescribe sugar-coated pills which do more harm than good. What is needed is to hold up a mirror for the public to face the brutal truth and accept that a bitter pill is required to put the country back on the road to real economic recovery. Let us face the hard facts that under the PN, BN leadership and their die-hard followers, this nation of ours have lost its moral compass. We need to set it right that good values must win and evil must be rejected. In the search for the magic formula to cure our economic ills, the Barisan National Government for 65 years have been looking west and then east. It implemented a mishmash of contradicting policies, resulting in the country suffering the negative effects of differing economic models. In the 1980s, the BN government adopted neoliberalism, following in the footsteps of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan. With privatization of the public sector, trade liberalization, and deregulation of the economy. It was based on the mistaken assumption that through the trickle-down effect, social problems and inequality would be resolved by themselves. Neoliberalism resulted in a shift from pro-poor to pro-business. In reality, privatization of public services such as healthcare, energy, and water supply further marginalized the poorer and more vulnerable sections of the population. The inequality gap increased and the B40 group faced increased deprivation. In the push for industrialization, the BN government gave priority for economic development over social political development. The state then implemented the development state model. The Eastern formula involved substantial state intervention using public policies, key institutions, and a system of selective business patronage to drive industrialization. This is the developmental state model. Examples are the South Korean chaebol and the Japanese keiretsu. They were established in the countries based on their particular historical circumstances, culture, and unique social and economic situations. The business system of these industrialized economies differed. Japan's keiretsu system involved extensive interlocking ownership ties between industries and financial firms. In South Korea, a government-controlled financial system nurtured chaebols that are basically family-owned businesses. Taiwan's growth has been driven by SMEs, which constitute 98% of its economy, and the primary engine of Singapore's industrialization is its GLCs. Tun Mahathir, in the drive for affirmative action, used the privatization models. In his first tenure as Prime Minister, He adopted the Look East developmental state model to drive the race-based affirmative action with heavy industrialization projects. Tun Mahathir intended to produce a group of Bumiputra entrepreneurs leading Korean-style chaebols and state-owned banks providing financial support. Tun Mahathir tried to justify the selective patronage system as the best way to create a class of Bumiputra entrepreneurs controlling big businesses. In the meanwhile, the government was not able to develop the small and medium-sized enterprises. SMEs are regulated primarily by public policies to nurture domestic enterprises through government contracts which favored Bumiputra SMEs pursuant to the Bumiputra-based affirmative action. However, in reality, as we all know, many of these government contractors subcontract the work to non-Bumiputra subcontractors. In the circumstances, no SME, be it Bumiputra or non-Bumiputra, has emerged as a leading enterprise of global repute. In the circumstances, it cannot be denied that there is a dire need for SMEs as well as big businesses to implement policies based on merits and competitiveness. The direct and indirect consequences of political patronage have given rise to three negative results. First, the rise of a group of political, economical elites. Two, the increase in the equality gap between the rich and the poor. And three, the disruption of the competitive order. It is time for Malaysians to accept, for this GE15, the hard truth that there is no instant cure and no magic bullet. In looking west and then east, the BN government has failed to look within our own backyard. The solution, in fact, may be right in front of our eyes, but we refuse to recognize because this is not what we want to see or hear. We cannot simply cut and paste using other countries' formula. What is needed is for us to solve our own problems using our own available resources and our own resourcefulness. The solution to the problems of increasing cost of living, the reduction in poverty, to stop the widening income and wealth inequality is not in fixing minimum prices, raising minimum wages, or providing further subsidies. It is also not by looking at the GDP and statistical economic measurements. What is needed is to increase economic growth, productivity, and improve the well-being of the people to lead a good life. The goal is for each person to live a flourishing and meaningful life. The answer lies in the reimposition and maintenance of a competitive order. A competitive market is the key driver for economic growth and productivity. It is also a valuable channel for consumer welfare and the means for the welfare of the population as a whole. Where there is competition in the markets, consumer benefits from the lower prices, better productivity and services, and innovation will arise. Good governance, macroeconomic stability, access to infrastructure investment in human development, and social policies to protect the poor are at the forefront of efforts to promote economic growth and shared prosperity. What this country needs urgently is a return to an effective competition policy. An effective competition policy brings about inclusive growth, shared prosperity, and the alleviation of poverty. Economic efficiency and sustainable social outcomes are the results. Only a competitive order leads to efficiency and sustainable social and economic outcomes. Where no individual economic agent has power to influence the exchange process in the market, this will lead to self-compliance on the rules of the game. As a consequence, transaction costs are reduced and economic efficiencies are stimulated. The price system is the pivotal mechanism by which competition improves economic dynamics. If prices are dependent on the decision of the state authorities or individual market participant, such prices would not reflect the true market price and leads to price distortion. This inevitably leads to allocative inefficiencies. Free prices, private property, the freedom of contract, the openness of the market, the principle of responsibility, consistency of economic policies, and 5 regulatory principles together with the constitutive principles such as the strict competition policy, the labour market intervention, the internalization of external effects, social policy measures, and the provision of public goods. All this will help to reduce costs and improve quality. Competition leads to the cheapest and largest possible production. It also allows entrepreneurs to be motivated to reduce costs and to improve quality. We have to look at the system of merits and rewards for the last 65 years. Within the competitive order, capabilities, ideas, especially efforts and abilities of the participants are rewarded. But there has been a distortion in the BN mismatch policies, with the state intervening in the awarding of contracts, in the implementation of import permits, privatization, public-private partnerships, the granting of mega concessionary projects with monopoly powers have distorted and destroyed the competitive order. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, or whether we call it meritocracy or some other name, merits is the practice of rewarding achievements in society. Merits is usually awarded for the achievement and promotion of goodness, compliance with rightness, and what the society wants to promote. For the past 60 years, no merits have been awarded for competency, innovation, hard work, or righteousness. Instead, rewards were granted to those who excel in political lobbying, patronage, bribery, and corruption. When entrepreneurs are not rewarded for reducing costs, improving the quality of products or services, providing innovation and capabilities, but instead are rewarded for political connections, political patronage, and rent-seeking behavior, then naturally we in Malaysia produce world champions in bribery and corruption, but failures in the real economy. Let's not be insane. We are all familiar with the famous saying attributed to Einstein about repeating the actions and expecting a different result. So let's not be insane in repeating the formula or variations of it with different names and hoping for a different result. It will not happen. It has failed in the past 50 years, it is failing now, and it will definitely fail in the future. In conclusion, what is needed for a successful socio-economic transformation strategy is to ensure that the design and preparation of policies include plans for reform or removal of socio-economic and institutional obstacles that hinder its effective implementation. We need to reset our moral compass. We need to relay an ethical foundation based on common values, recognize, promote a new approach to a socially just economic development. Let's have a shared society so we can have a real shared prosperity and inclusive growth. Let's reset for a brighter future. Everyone should be provided with the equal opportunity to possess the capabilities to live the life they choose and value. What is needed is for us to go back to basics, to re-establish an economic competitive order. This is done through the restructuring of a comprehensive institutional framework. This institutional framework plays a decisive part in influencing efficiency and adaptability of the economic system. In turn, it leads to the establishment of the market structure and also the establishment and implementation of a whole range of the principles that enable an economy to operate efficiently. Let us reset our moral compass. Let us reset for a brighter future. Give Pakatan Harapan a clear majority for Malaysia to return to its path of greatness. Kita boleh maju, kita boleh makmur. Give Pakatan Harapan a chance. Thank you.